Hello, this is Master User, and I'm doing a review on the RX10 Mark IV. Now, I had the RX10 Mark III, and I normally prefer a DSLR with a detachable lens, but it's very hard to get a camera that has a lens from 24 to 600 millimeter without spending a lot more money for the lens. Okay, so I decided to try the RX10 Mark III, and it had problems. Okay, it could occasionally put out some pretty nice video and some nice pictures. It wasn't quite as sharp as a DSLR, but I had problems with focus not locking on. I had problems with the audio. I had several little problems with it. Now, I liked the body design on it because I've got big hands, and so it was easy for me to hold on to that Mark III. So I decided to take a loss, and I just wrote it off, and I went ahead and got the Mark IV, the RX10 Mark IV. Now, it's really the same lens, but this is sort of a different camera. There's several different things about it. It's not really the same camera. In fact, the camera body is bigger right through here, which I didn't like because it's a little hard to hold on to even with my big hands, but it is a change. And it doesn't seem to me to be quite as stout as the RX10 Mark III, the body, because they did change this right through here. Now, there are a lot more menus on it than there were on the RX10 Mark III. This one is also supposed to help stop the problem that you had with rolling shutter on the Mark III, the RX10 Mark III. It had a real big problem with rolling shutter. That was one of the issues. This one's supposed to help stop that. This one is supposed to be faster at getting the focus. As I said, it does have more menus, and there are differences on placements, like it has a lens limiter on the side of the lens here. And I'm not sure why they did that, but we're going to try that out here in the future. And they did change it so that the autofocus could automatically switch between your standard A and your continuous focus. It can switch back and forth by itself. You don't have to do anything. And it still has the manual switch and the manual focus switch, and but it's really a different camera because they've changed so much of it out. And I went and bought a protector, a lens protector. I don't know how well it's going to look to put on here immediately to protect this thing. And I immediately put on a lens. In fact, I use a 9 because it does not have a neural density lens of 9.9 because it does not have neural density filter built into the cameras. One thing I didn't like. So one thing you need to know about this camera, and you should have known about the others, it's in the book, but they don't bring it out. This is a condensing lens. What that means is you don't need to be shooting with this thing looking into the sun, and you don't need to leave this thing outside where it's getting a lot of sun through this lens. You need to keep the lens cap on it because it can overheat and cause a fire. Now, that is in the book, but you don't hear them mentioning it. And it's supposedly a problem caused by the lens because it is a condensing lens. So if you use it, try not to shoot with the sun in the background, and try not to leave this thing where it's going to catch a lot of sun through the lens when you're not using it. Keep the lens cap on it. That's one tip for you guys now, because you could easily damage your camera. Now, everything else is very, very similar. The flash, spot to hook on the additional. I think they've got a external mic you can put here, and they've got I think they've got a handle, I'm not sure, where you can change it to XLR. I had to double check on that. And the video record button is here. Like I said, there was a change right in here, and it makes it a little harder for me to hold on to it, but I'll get used to it. And it does have quite a few different menus and more menus. I did like the fact that I could change the first 3 letters on the files so that I could show all the files that came from this camera came from the Mark IV camera. My other cameras, I can't do that, so I've just got DSC, and it gets confusing knowing which files came from where sometimes. So that was one nice thing I liked. And it does have the touch screen. I haven't tried it out yet. So this is quite a bit different camera, even though it looks similar to the RX-10 Mark III, the RX-10 Mark IV is quite a bit different. It has a different sensor in it. While it's the same size, it's a faster sensor, and it reads a different way, and it's got, I believe, some software to help stop the rolling shutter problems that the other camera was having. So we're going to try this out. I'm going to see how I like it. My initial thoughts are, I don't know yet. I'm going to have to try it out, because the RX-10 Mark III would have been an awesome camera had it not had some bugs in it. And while I still prefer a DSLR with a separate lens that I can change, this does fit the bill of being able to switch back and forth, because I like to do, I'm shooting movies a lot in the scenes in the woods. And sometimes I'm out shooting nature scenes. So it allows me to get shots of some animals that, because I'm out there in the woods, I see them sometimes that I wouldn't normally be able to get if it wasn't for the lens being able to do 24 to 600. And the stabilization is supposedly improved on it too at the long end, because this thing originally, when you put it to the long end, the RX-10 Mark III, it was hard to get a stable image, and they supposedly have done something to that. So this Master Use, I'm going to be testing out the RX-10 Mark IV. We're going to find out how good it is, how good it isn't. I'm going to see how it relates to the other one, because I like the camera. If it had not had some bugs in it, as far as I'm concerned, it would have been a pretty awesome little camera. This is more money. What can I say about that? So anyway, this Master Use, I'll be doing more updates on reporting on the RX-10 Mark IV, so that you know something about the camera before you spend your money. I'm the type of guy, I understand what I'm reviewing. And unfortunately, there's a lot of people on YouTube that like to review stuff they have no clue. All they do is repeat what the company says. I don't do that. If I don't like something, I tell you. If I think something works well, I tell you. But you get my user experience instead of a review of what the company tells you. And I'm a Sony guy, but if it doesn't work, it doesn't work. And if it does work, it does. So that's how I look at it. All right, this is Master Use. Bye-bye.